All right. Good morning. Oh, good morning, everyone. Ooh, messages are also recorded. Well, thank you for letting me know that. So there'll be no bad talking the teacher while the teacher's teaching today. There'll be all kinds of sharing of resources while you're in there. So good afternoon, everybody. It's the 24th of March, and Janice telling me it's cold down in the South, which has me kind of depressed because Janet was 75 yesterday when I walked out of the office. So if it's below 30, I'm going to be really mad because it was 37 when I left this morning, and that was kind of beautiful. So it's all good. So I put the link for today's chat. No, I put the link for today's session in the chat, so you have it. And I know that some of you are in here. Feel free to make your own copy. And I think you guys know that you are always free to make your own copy, take it, use it, make it your own, whatever you need to do. I'm not proprietary over my materials whatsoever. I have no problem with that. So Bond, Virginia Bond like James, Virginia Lake State, although I know both of you. And thank you for coming to today's training. All three of you, I know, yes. So just a quick data and privacy security statement is please make sure you're following your data privacies of your district. Okay, so while Chrome accessibility doesn't have any issues, Chromebook accessibilities, because it's native on the device, I am going to show you a couple other things along the way because I'm always a little bit more than you always need. So in those cases, you do have to ask your DPO about those things. Don't know? Ask the DPO. All right, so we're going to start, and I'm just going to tell you the story. I am not an expert on accessibility. So, but what I know accessibility comes from these two lovelies sitting right here in this picture. These two are my own children, okay? They are different as night and day. This one right here is a daddy now. He is 28 years old, and he is a nurse, and he is colorblind. He has pretty bad color blindness, to the point I still buy him his Christmas clothes. I buy him an outfit that goes together, and we number them. He has a number on the tag, so he knows. His wife has done the same thing with his scrubs. His scrubs are numbered. So it's like 31A, 31B, so he knows which ones goes together because otherwise he doesn't know. And one day I said, like, dude, how do you like tell with the lights, like traffic lights? He's like, oh, the top one's red. I know that, but I'm like, oh, okay. He was a child when he was in middle school taking middle school art. His art teacher called me and said, hey, can you buy Jarrett colored pencils with the names of the colors on because he can't do the color wheel. No, I can't do the color wheel. So I learned a lot from him. And then his younger sister, this is Becca. This is Jarrett. This is Becca. Becca is my youngest child who's ADHD, like wild ADHD. Just like her focus ability still is like massively an issue. She's 24. She's a strength and conditioning coach, so she's always active, right? But one of the things we learned really early with her was things about colors. If I used color, so he couldn't use colors. She needed colors for everything. She color coded everything, still does that in her life. Everything was color coded in her life. And to the point where we used to make her flashcards in colors. And then we realized when she went to college, we're pretty sure she has an eidetic memory. She's like Sheldon. It's a little scary. She can remember everything on a color, based on a color. She made her flashcards for her strength and conditioning exam. There was 900 flashcards, and I could pull any one of them out. She could tell me the color of the card and what was on it. But it was insane. So like I used to say, my kids are very, very opposite on opposite spectrums. But they taught me a lot. So they taught me a lot also while they were in college, and they taught me a lot about accessibility features, and probably not because they needed them, but because they made their lives much easier. One used speech to text all the time, and one used text to speech all the time. So I'm like not kidding. They're about as night and day. They're great kids, but my daughter used speech to text to write her 2 graduate thesis. And my son used text to speech so he could listen to his textbooks while he was working, right? These are my kids. They're so different, but just those are some of the things that they always did. So, okay, so that all being said to you, I don't know if I'm going to come back to this again, but I'm going to show you a couple things. So the presentation is going to be what you're going to go with, and I'm actually going to present most of this session from my Chromebook. So two big things have happened in the last 10 years. So the Chromebook had its 10th birthday, which many of us know, but in the last like 5 years, they really amped up their accessibility features. Now, Microsoft has always had them. They have actually an accessibility checker built within PowerPoint. That is great if you're going to do any form of presentation. And my daughter-in-law, married to my son, that's what she does for a living for the university, for SUNY Canton. She works on their accessibility with their professors for their online courses. So we've had a lot of conversations about what they have and what they don't have, the difference between Office, the difference between Google, really great conversations to have. So, but the main device of choice for most students with disabilities when they leave high school has been an iPad and a MacBook and an iPhone, because you could align all the pieces together. So what you did on your iPhone, you could do on your MacBook, you could do on your iPad, right? And it was kind of this progression. And what we're starting to see, because of Google's real focus towards accessibility, they have people on their team who are what I would call people with exceptionalities. By the way, that's what they call them in Canada. They're not students with disabilities, they're learners with exceptionalities, which I kind of love. It's such a nice way to say it. What they're doing is they're seeing that because there's such a focus on that by Google, you're seeing a lot more people now going to a Chromebook, because the Chromebook can really replicate of what they need with an Android device. So now people are going to have those different options back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to do the laptop first, because I can get to some of these features within a laptop or a desktop. I'm on a laptop on my desk, but if you have the old-fashioned tower desktop, so through the Chrome browser, I can go up into my settings. I can click the traffic light or the snowman or whatever you call this bad boy, the 3 dots, ... I could come into settings, and then I always want to go into my advanced settings, and accessibility will be a feature within it. So it's right there. So these are the features that I have, and you'll notice this is what I have on my laptop. It's not a lot. Okay, so knowing that, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to my Chromebook. So I am going to stop presenting with my laptop, and I am going to start presenting with my Chromebook, which means I'm going to turn off this camera, and you're going to see this camera. So now I should actually be looking at the right people. Awesome. Okay, so hopefully, yep, I know you can see me because I can see you. Awesome. This is always the quandary. My God, can I make it work? Okay, so we're going to it's the same kind of process, but on a Chromebook, we're going to come down into the status tray. We're going to click on the status tray, and we're going to come up into our settings. So in my settings, same thing. It's going to look very similar to what I just had on my laptop. And when I come in here, I'm going to, again, go to advanced. And you'll notice I'm going to scroll down just a little bit, and there's my accessibility. So once I'm in here, now it looks like there's nothing here, right? It looks like there's nothing. But what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to use this side arrow, by the way. Well, I'll tell you I didn't know until today story. It'll show up. You'll see where it is. Okay, so look at the features that are in here on a Chromebook. It's incredible, right? Like there's like 8 on a laptop, but in a Chromebook, there are so many more. So my goal of what I'm going to do is I'm going to work you through these accessibility features. If you're still in the presentation, I gave you a little mini video clip on slide 5 of me basically doing what I just did going into those. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through these features, and I'm going to show you what each of them does just a little bit. And I'm going to give you some of like the shortcuts. They're not all, but many of them are in the slide presentation for you. Because what you're going to see is, and I'm going to show some other things later. Turning on accessibility features is great, but you almost have to trial run them. What I have seen some districts do is they turn them on from everybody, and I'm like, oh God, no, please don't do that. That's not a good idea. Jan, you just gave me the like perfect face. Yeah, like no, not a good idea, right? One size does not fit all. And I mean, while we talk about that, one size does not fit all, even in a special ed classroom, does not even fit 2 students with visual acuity issues. Like every student's going to have a little different need, and you've got to find what is the best fit for them. So whilst one student may use one tool, another student may use another tool. Okay, so I'm going to work my way through this. Again, just, lots of, just be kind to the teacher. I'm just kidding. You guys are fine. So first one is the Chromebook. Okay, so a Chromebook is just what it sounds, and vox, I think in Latin means voice, right? So it's the Chrome voice. So we are going to be able to use the Chrome voice, which is spoken feedback. So gray is always off or disabled. And when I click on it, it's going to turn it blue and turn it on. Now, you can tell I'm using one accessibility feature right now. Can you see what it is? My cursor is a different color. If there's one accessibility feature that I absolutely love, it's that one, because I always lose my cursor. And usually on my laptop, I actually enlarge it because I'm on 3 screens. Gosh only knows where it may be at some time. So I will enlarge it and I change the color of it. It just makes it much easier for me to find. I'm also have some resources in the document about like good colors to use, good colors on websites. And I'm going to go back and forth between a light green and a blue and a yellow a little bit. But even that, you got to find the colors that works for your kids, because one kid may be one color and one kid may be a different color. And so my heart always goes out to special ed teachers because they have almost an impossible task. All right, so speech to text. The first one is turning on the Chromebook. So I can enable it here. So as soon as I do that, you'll notice what opened up underneath it. I have Chromebook settings will open up. So if I click on that, it's going to open up in another option. I'm going to close that because I have a trick for you that's going to be very helpful. Oh, I'm so excited. I left my reader on. Oh, that was not a good idea. Ay, ay, ay. This should be fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you can use search 2 times. It's a shortcut. So anytime you have Chromebook turned on, you can do search and 2 times. And what that's going to do is it's going to speak anything that's under the mouse. So I'm going to try this because I turned off my audio. I'm going to move away from my laptop so that we don't get too much feedback. And I'm going to turn on my audio. I'm going to turn on my, you will hear it speak to you.
Speak text under the mouse. Automatically read page after it finishes loading.
So what it's doing, and I'm not sure if you can hear a lot of it. I'm going to turn that back off. What you'll see is it's that yellow box is helping it to read directly what's under the mouse. Now, how did I do that when I come in? That's not always what it does. So it typically, people want to turn on automatically read the page after it finishes loading. Trust me, you really don't want that, right? Oh, look at that. I'm glad, Michelle. It's super helpful, right? That's not always the best option to have it turn on as soon as it starts to read, because most of us don't want to read the whole thing. We only need to read a portion of it, right? So we want it to read a portion of where we are. So as soon as we put the mouse somewhere, it will go into a set of text. So I'm going to take this out on the internet a little bit. And if I go to Wikipedia, because that's always a good place because there's a lot of text. And we'll go to Cheetahs because that's what we always look up. And you can see once I pull this over in here, it has selected C, so I can move that. See what happens? So it went up there. It's reading that text. I have my audio turned off on my Chromebook. Does that make sense? So that's a nice one. So I can turn it on. I can get to my options that way, which are still open. So I'm going to close that tab. And now I'm going to turn it off, but I want to use a key command to turn it off. So the key command is like undo, right? We know the key command for undo, Control Z. So the key command to turn this off is Control Alt Z, and it automatically turns it on. So I can turn it on and I can turn it off.
So Virginia, can I ask you a question? Can we interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
So you know I'm a science teacher, right?
Right.
With my crazy vocab, is he accept? You know how sometimes they struggle with weird words and they like try to sound it out phonetically, some of these text readers. Have you experienced that problem with the Google accessibility feature here?
Well, to be honest, I haven't tried it, but you know what? We can try it a little later. So this is what I want you to do is make me really quickly while we kind of go through these, make me a little Google or add a page to one of these. You're an editor in this document, like, you know, go in and I'll open up the document and we'll just try it, right? That's the only way we're going to try it. I have no problem trying that. You can also read a page. It'll do a search K. So if you use search K, it'll read the page. But it literally reads the page, like everything. So on the page that I'm on right now, it's going to say not logged in, talk, contributions, create account, log in, read, view source. It reads across. It reads across. It's going to read that side menu, right? It's going to read the page, which is why I don't use that feature within the option. I use just the option of read under the mouse, read the text under the mouse. So it's kind of finding what works best for you, turning it on, turning it off. I think those are the best. Now, there's also in that document, so I'm going to open, I have it over here. So in the document, not in Switch Access, while I'm in here, if you look at this document right in here, which is a support document that I put up, this is all on the Chrome Vox, okay? So there's lots in here. That's the using, okay? That's that using docs. So it does give you more. You can change the language. So think about that. Probably Jan and Michelle, that's a bigger issue where you live than where we live. Although Plattsburgh has a lot of non-English speakers or secondary English speakers, but you can change it to another language. So if something in English, you want to translate it over, you absolutely can. It will do that. You can also slow it up, speed it down. You can change the pitch. So if a student can hear better in a higher pitch, I actually hear better in a lower pitch. So I do much better with a low voice. So I'll find myself taking myself into a nice, dark Australian accent. Because listen, if somebody's going to talk to me and he's going to speak English, Australian will work just fine for me, right? Or English, I don't care. So you have all of those options you can play with a little bit. So that is really helpful. So my note to teachers who are going to use this or anybody that's going to teach it, you are going to need to have a Post-it for your students. And you are going to need to make sure that you need to have a Post-it for your kids, and you need to have a Post-it with their name on it, along with the pieces that they're going to use with their own shortcuts. Now, if you want to like jump it up a notch and not do it that way, you could make a Google Keep for each student, share it with the student as a collaborator, and then you'd be the owner. And as they started to add new pieces in, you could add to that Google Keep, right? That would be another way. So, because if you have 6 kids using 6 different features, you're going to have to turn them on and turn them off every time you get a different kid in the room or a different kid in front of you. So that's like one of my tidbits. Okay, we'll keep going. So that's the first one. So, and what you will see me do is I turn them on and I turn them off very quickly, because they get to be too much, especially when getting some of the screen magnifiers. they're hard to use because they overtake your device. And that's the thing. They will overtake your device. I don't mean that in a bad way, but Chrome screens are 13 inches wide. So there's not a lot of extra room to play with. That's the first thing they're going to do. And you have to be careful when you're trying to use two of them together. They can get a little wonky. All right. So enable select to speak. Okay. So when I click this, so highlight what you want to hear and then click search plus S. You can also turn it on or turn it off. Okay. So search, that search button is always good. Highlight what you want to hear. I got a little bit in here. That's good. And then search S. And now you'll see what it's doing, which I love about this. It's actually, you won't hear it because I have it turned off. See what it's doing though? It's reading it and it's moving along. I actually love this for primary readers, struggling readers, readers who are having a hard time staying on task. There's not as many options for this though. Like I can't do a lot to change the speed. The speed is what I get. I don't think you can. I say that. No, you cannot. You can't change the speed. You can change the highlight color. You can change the language. I'm looking now that I said that. You can buy personalized voices. No, thank you. Nobody wants to buy anything. So again, under the slide, there's a using feature in there. So you can also Alt-Shift-S is going to turn it off. Okay? Alt-Shift-S. That's the other thing. Alt and the search button are going to give you, they're going to kind of open doors for you when it comes to keyboard shortcuts. And especially on a Chromebook. Like I always thought I was good with keyboard shortcuts. And then I saw the ones that were available to you on a Chromebook and I'm like, I know nothing. There are many, many, many of them. But it's also, I don't use it. So I don't use all these features. So you don't use it. You don't need them all. I do like that select to speech. I use a lot more speech to text than I ever have in the past. Okay. So no, this is text to speech, excuse me. So text to speech, because my eyes are tired at the end of the day, right? I want something to read me. That's also why I like audiobooks, right? We all kind of have done that road. All right, next one, display. So here we go into the display mode. So there's some really simple things that I can do. Here's the first one. I can go into high contrast mode, which I don't even have to play with. It's just Control, Shift, and H. Oh, I think actually I lied to you. I have to turn it on. Yep. I got to turn it on right there. That's what it looks like. So this is the bane of every tech teacher's existence because the kids used to find it in the iPads and everybody get mad at them. And I'd be like, oh, what does it matter, right? So you could turn it on, turn it off. It's really good for your eyes because the black screen is more calming to your eyes, especially at the end of the day. So, but what it does is it freaks with your colors at the bottom. And that's when my son goes, hey, Mom, that's how I see the world. And I'm like, okay, right? So you just kind of have to get used to like, are you okay with that? And it's good for me, right? But for some students, that's a really simple thing that they can do. They can just turn it on and turn it off. And it makes their life much easier, right? So don't have to do anything fancy. Now here comes the big ones. These are huge, these ones. So these are definitely like vision impaired students. These, if they get, yes, very much like Blackle, yep. This one, the magnifier, so the docked magnifier and the full screen magnifier, if someone turns them on by accident, you will go into panic because you don't know what they did. Again, this is very much like the iPad when people turn on things and they do it and you're like, oh my God, what did they do? I don't know what they did. I can't figure it out, right? So almost anytime somebody has a mistake, thank you so much. Anytime anyone makes a mistake and something like that happens, I can almost guarantee you it's stuck in accessibility features. So you can come right into it and find it. And it's a key command. they've activated some weird key command. And I will give you an example today. I was working on the presentation and I got a vertical rule and I went into panic because I could not figure out what I had done. So I know a lot about Google. I'm like, what key command did I do it with? And I was moving things around and I hit a number. It's literally, you hit a number 5 and I got a vertical rule on my presentation and I could not get rid of it. And I was like, what did I couldn't figure it out. I knew what it was. And I called one of our other teammates and I said, what did I do? I can't find it. So anyway, just that's a little bit of like knowledge. Thank you. Have a good night. So next one. So display, we did that. Okay, full screen magnifier. Here we go. You ready? Oh, this one always hurts. See what just happened? It went, it just got bigger on me. So if I come down here and you'll see everything moves. So I'm only at 2 times. This goes up to 20. Let's go to 10. So you can't see anything. So you have to scroll. You can use your arrows to go around. Let's go to 6. Even that. So I'm lucky because on this one I have a touch screen, but you really have to work to get around on it. It's not easy for me to use, but again, I don't need it. So it doesn't really have to be easy for me to use. You can see that you can scroll side to side with your finger. You can scroll this way. So full screen will take you out here. And then when I go out on the internet, which is over here. So if I go out on the web, this is what it looks like, right? Very helpful to people. It's not great, I think, on a Chromebook, a little Chromebook. So quite honestly, if a student was going to want to use this feature and want to take it into a college setting, I'd highly recommend that they buy a 15-inch screen Chromebook because you want that space. That's just something to think about. It's not very many times we buy big Chromebooks, right? That would be one of those times we'd want a big Chromebook because it would be helpful for a student. So there's a couple other things. You can have you can search part of the screen, Control Search D, and it will say, ooh, so this is like if I want to go into docked mode, which is where we're going to go later, okay? So if I just want to be in docked mode, which I actually think works a little better, so I'm going to come back out, right? And I have to go to the bottom. I have to get back down here. I have to get over to it. Listen, I've turned this on before myself, and I'd be like, oh, where is it? I know what I'm looking for. Just once it's turned on, it's hard to navigate back to turn it off. Okay, so the next one is a docked magnifier, which I actually have used with many people. It splits your screen, right? So you're not really in control of where the split is. It splits your screen and the magnification is above it. So it's docked. So your original screen stays at the bottom and they're magnifying at the top section. So you can kind of move it around. So it's just docking a small part. Now, have I used this? Yeah, I'm definitely getting older. My eyes are getting worse. I will use a Zoom a lot, but I've used this on primary documents. So when I'm trying to look at a primary document in like an original script for like a social studies class or a DBQ, or I'm trying to zoom in on something, this is a good feature to be able to use. I find personally the docked is easier to use than the full screen because I can still see my screen, but I don't have as many visual issues. I think if you have a student that does, this may not be for them. So again, to try a few things, but you can see this is not, and if you click on a different space at the bottom, see what I did? I just moved my mouse to the bottom. So if I come over here, if I scroll this, what I'm pointing to here is large on top. So you can kind of, to me, this is like the best of both worlds. So it does show two things at once. Okay. I am going to, I always can't remember how to turn this one off. So I got to get back into my settings and go back over. Yep, go here, go here. And then I can turn this off, and I got totally out of accessibility. I sure did. So what I do like is that I can still find where I am. There we go. You also can change that zoom level, by the way. You can go 4, you can go 2 to 20. So You know, if you want 2, they can still see a lot. You can see that's really good. This to me is like my enlarged text on my phone that I've turned on. The accessibility features, the older I get, the bigger the text gets on my phone. And I laugh because all my friends are doing that now too, because it's really funny. The older you get, the more you notice your friends are using accessibility features just like you, right? Because it's hard to see that little text. I haven't gotten to 1 word per line yet, so I'm okay. That's what I keep telling myself. All right, so next one. We will work our way down. So next one I'm going to go into is the keyboards. By the way, there's another thing in here. There's also open display device settings. So these little carrots that go off, right? They're just kind of giving you more options, right? So if I want to make, I can kind of change these. So if I want it, this is dependent on your screen. So the 12 by 800 screen is better. So if you have a, like this screen, the one I have in front of me is like a 19-inch screen, right? I would want a wider one if I had my Chromebook casting to that, which is always an option. So that's an option. And you can also, I do like this. Do you see this? You can schedule a night light on your device. People are like, what? So that's in that display. If you want to go into a dark mode, you can totally do that, right? You can do sunset to sunrise. When we were doing a lot, I was doing 5 or 6 trainings a day. I was taking my device right to dark mode in the afternoon, only for my eyes. Like my eyes were really sore. And I'm used to being on screen. Kids aren't. So I always like to say that. And I keep my Chrome in stealth mode. I call it that. It's dark mode. I keep it in stealth mode. So it's all black so that it's easier to track. So it, and you can see it even up here, all of my, even out here, like when I go out into Chrome, everything's, my tabs are not white. Everything is dark, right? So, cause it's just easier to navigate and things pop on it a little larger. All right, so let's go to the next one. We did those first 3. Now we're gonna go to keyboard and text input. So there's a lot in this one, but most of them I feel like are easy. So there's not a lot of information in here. I feel like everybody in the world has enabled sticky keys by accident, right? Everybody does it. So, I mean, and here's how, here's why sticky keys were built. Sticky keys were built for students with a physical ailment, because a sticky key implies that you, or non-sticky keys, regulars, any key commands imply that you push one button, hold it, and push the other one down, right? That's a key command. But a sticky key allows you to push one and then push the other. So that if you only have, if you have one hand, or if you have no hand. I had a student with EB, had no hands, had a thumb, just a little piece right here on one hand only. And I don't know how that young man had neater handwriting than any other student I ever had, right? He and his sister both had EB and have both passed on at this point. They were the sweetest kids. But we used to turn on sticky keys on their devices because they could push one and then they could push the other and they'd be good to go, right? We taught that skill to those students right off the bat because they couldn't do a 2-key command. So that's a good thing. Students with MS, students with cerebral palsy, those are all chances when you want to take the time to turn on a sticky keys. So I have done it by accident, right? You hold a button too long, it'll say, hey, you want to turn on sticky keys? And I'll be like, no, right? So you can totally go through and you can just turn them on. So when I do this and I click it on, that's all there is to it. You turn it on, turn it off, or you can just hold the key for a really long time. So like this one's not hard. I feel like everybody knows that. So you can enable your on-screen keyboard. So this is one I keep on all the time. I have a touch screen on my Chromebook. So I love this because my keyboard is all set up here and all ready to go and I can just use it. And it also means that I can come in and just grab some other things as well when that keyboard is up there. So if I want to send a message or I'm in tablet mode, because this device will go into tablet mode, I can automatically access that. So I just really like it. It's simple. this is one of those accessibility features that I keep on at all times, okay? Because it's not impeding me in any way, and I have the ability to turn it on by just clicking it or turning it off. I also have like this little mouse down there that I can use, right? I can also do all that, and plus I have my key commands. So you can also change this setting. There are a few settings in here because you can change the inputs. This is when we go in much bigger. So I haven't checked this lately, so let's go give it a gander. Physical keyboard. I don't remember what this is. I think we'll turn it on to modest and we'll see what happens. Don't remember. This is so you don't have to have a lot. Let's go see what happens. So I don't remember. So it doesn't really get louder. I remember what this is there. You can actually have some sounds on the key press if you want them. I don't remember what that does, by the way. So I'm so sorry. But like for me, like I said, I have a touch screen so I can touch and use the keyboard, which is really nice. I can also pull, right? I can get rid of those features if I don't want them. I also have this. There's a speech to text feature right in here that I can use because I have nowhere to put that, but I can actually put this in a document. So let's just do this. We're going to make a little box right here. And I'm going to do this. We are going to have this type for me, period. Okay, that's why Virginia loves the online keyboard, quite honestly. But I mean, it's a good feature to have. I use that a lot. I use a lot of speech to text, like I said to you before. Do I use a stylus? So Jan, I do, but I'm not much of a snob. I have a Samsung, so I just use a stylus that comes with the device. I really like it. I know. I am a purist, I think. I don't know. I'm from the chalkboard era, Jan. Remember those? I'm still used to using my finger. So, right. And then I had a whiteboard. And then when we got smart boards, I still used a pen. But after a while, I went to my finger. So I think I'm just so used to it, but this does have a super nice tip on it. It's very sharp. So it'll do some nice features on it. So the reason I like the keyboard is for that right there. So it means I don't have to enable anything special. I can automatically I'm trying to use the mouse on my Chromebook. That's working really well for me, isn't it? I can just have that there all the time. And I can automatically get to my dictation. Oh, really? That's interesting, Kristen. A tennis ball and a smart board. Oh, right. Oh, I see. I used to use my knuckle, knock it to turn it on and write with it. And I always knew it worked. So I use that dictation because it just makes my life pretty simple. And because it's embedded right into the keyboard, I don't have to have a lot of other things. So let's keep going. I'm going to run out of time. I always worried I'm not going to have enough time, and I never have enough time. Okay, we'll back out. Here we go. Oh, no, I just did something bad. See, I just did it myself, right? I just totally turned something on. So, and it's because I had something turned on by accident. Ooh, right? And it always happens. Yep. Every once in a while. Okay, we're going to turn them off. No, that's not going to help. Let's go out here. I've got my screen magnifier on is what it is. There it is. So you got to know what it is, right, to go find it, because you got to know where it is to find it. Trust me, I did a accessibility training that was on extensions once, and I ended up coming back on. I had like 55 extensions turned on. I was like, yeah, those got to go. And I got to turn them all back off. That's why I have an extension habit. Okay, so enabling dictation. I'm gonna keep my keyboard on. So you'll notice this doesn't really do anything, but I can automatically do it in any text field. So if I come back out here, right, and I make another text field. So we're going to come out here, text field, and I right click. I believe it is accessible through a right click, and I might be wrong. Oh, no, I lied to you. I am wrong. blip, 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 blip. It came right down to the bottom. I just didn't see. That mouse won't do a thing for you, Bond. Quit reaching for it. Right over there. You'll see it down next to my keyboard, right? So I have a little speaker turned on right down there, and it is right here. So now I can just turn that on and it'll begin to speak right away, period. The one thing you do have to do, which is very much like scribing for our students, comma, is you do need to teach them to do punctuation, period. It also underlines what it is doing right now, period. And just turn it off, okay? I always like to tell teachers, oh, and it's still talking. There we go. It has to be turned off, right? I always like to tell teachers that reluctant writers typically are not reluctant speakers. They sure do like to talk, but it's a nice feature for most people. I got, everybody knows Dale Brialt. I don't know, Dale used to always tell people he struggled with spelling. And I used to say to him, dude, just use a speech to text feature. And he was like, oh, and but it really does assist because it does help those kinds of things. So my husband, who's a minister, right? I got him to start to do that. It's so much faster. He's like, why didn't you tell me this years ago? I'm like, I don't know, why didn't you ask, right? And he's like, that is awesome. But my daughter, that's how she did her thesis, both of them. She was a runner, so she was on the bus Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and she would use her phone, and she actually used Google Keep, turned on the speech to text, and spoke her thesis in, then came through and pushed it to a Google Doc, edited it, put in all her citations, moved it around as she needed to, and pushed it through. Like, talk about kids being smart, right? Right? Oh, yeah, no kidding, right? I do my to-do lists all the time. So I don't drive as much as I used to because I'm not going to many districts, but I will dictate in my Google Keep. I just open a Google Keep and I will dictate emails, and then I just copy and paste them when I get to the office. I will do to-do lists. I do my shopping list that way, tons of things. I have a 2-minute commute now. I can make it, but when I was driving to Plattsburgh, it was a little bit more of an issue. But when I drive to Albany, I will do it a lot. I will open a Google Keep up because I'll have a train of thought. I'll be thinking about like, oh, that would be a good idea for a training. I could do that. So I use that feature a lot. Okay, carrot browsing. So here's my I didn't know. I didn't know that the arrow, that little tiny arrow, was a C-A-R-E-T. I thought it was a C-A-R-R-O-T. Today's the day I learned that a carrot in technology is not an R-R-O-T, but it's an A-R-E-T. So yeah, I'm like, everybody has their dumb moment, right? It's okay. Okay, so we turned it on. So carrot browsing. So this can be, you love this or you hate it. So you can highlight an object with the keyboard focus when it changes. Oh, I don't think I did this one. This one, taxa devices. So everything a little bit, and it also, quite honestly, Jan, if I haven't broken a Chromebook, nobody can. I literally have about 175 extensions installed on my Chromebook. I'm not kidding. Right? If I can't break it, you probably can't. Like, most kids aren't going to. They're always going to. They're not so much going to tax the memory. They're going to tax, I would say, its responsiveness, which we're probably going to feel like is their memory, right? It's going to slow Chrome down. It's going to slow the OS down a little bit. So I think we have to be choosy about when we use it. Okay, so highlight the text carrot where it appears or moves. This is probably also a really good feature. So if I do this, right, it's gonna highlight it when it so you notice there's not much change. Thank you. There's not much change. It's just larger, right? So, but it is easier to find. That's a definite one. So if you struggle with that, And I actually have some adults that struggle with that. I turn that on for them. They don't even know I've turned it on for them. They think that's the reality of how their world works. And I'm like, it works for them, right? So you can also navigate. I can turn this on with a Control Search 7. Okay. And it automatically asks me, do I want to turn it on? I say, sure, right? So that's a little trick. Some of these you can turn on by key commands. Some you definitely cannot. That is one of them. Okay. So let me keep going. Carrot browsing, switch access. Now, I know nothing. I am going to be the most brutally honest with you about switch access because this is what I consider to be, I get so nervous when it says, you've turned on things. So you literally can make your device do something by one action. This is higher level for sure. This is what we see when we see those different devices for like Minecraft or any kind of gaming that is built, right? So left means this, or this. Right means this, or this. This is usually for students with severe disabilities. And I always like to say, this is Stephen Hawking's. The reason we have this is because of Stephen Hawking's, because that's how he functioned in the world was with switch access, right? He did everything off of eye commands, right? He did all optic work. So because of that, that really changed the way we see things. So this is definitely a higher level. So look, you can change the select, the next, or the previous, and just give it a different value, which is great if you have students that really struggle with some of these pieces. This is definitely, most students will not need this. There will be some. Okay, I am going to turn that, I got to get that off because that's one of the ones, if you don't get off, it wreaks havoc with your device. Okay, go back off and get it off because I got to find it. It's down there. Perfect. Okay, so you do have some options in there. Yes, I want to turn it off. You do have options. When you choose that, you will have options that will go through. And then you can also go into your keyboard device settings. So you can do certain things. Like there are many people in the world that are changing their search box into a caps lock because we're missing the caps lock, right? Learn the key command for caps lock. I read a huge article today about people that have made that option or districts that have made that option for that are ruining it because not ruining it, but I don't know, maybe it's RUEING. Because you need the shift key you need the search key for so many things, so many key commands. And if you've taught your district that you've made it into a caps lock and not a search functionality, it really almost breaks a lot of the things that you need to do as far as accessibility are concerned. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. But you can also how many delays do you want? So if you're a student that is slow to the touch or holds a sticky key, you can change it in here. You can also change some of your features. This is also what you see a lot of students do who are left-handed. Some left-handed students will change some things back and forth. I am not a proponent of teaching kids how to do that feature. They have to learn. They can change their own device, but I don't want them going in and changing somebody else's, but that's just me. I'm a grumpy pants. I got no problems telling people that, right? That is because kids have to function. If they change their own desk, it's okay. So mouse and the mouse settings. Oh, the next one is mouse and touchpad. So my favorite really, and you saw it, is the mouse color, right? So you can automatically click. I didn't do anything on this because these don't do anything. They just kind of, so when the cursor stops, so I'm going to cancel, yes. So when the cursor stops, it clicks. So this is good for kids that can't do that and click through. Now I've seen kindergarten teachers turn this on. I'm like, no, because it does not teach them the right functionality of a Chromebook, right? They have to get to it and click. You do the same thing on a mouse. You get to it and you click. We got to teach them to do it both ways. So but kindergarten teachers, that's too hard for them. I'm like, no, it's not. It's too hard for you. It's not too hard for them. Let them, sorry. Show a large mouse cursor. Yeah, girl, I love the large mouse cursor. Again, 3 screens, great to have that bad boy because it's easy to find things. Change the color. You got all kinds of colors. You can change it by the day. See how long it takes your kids to figure out where it is. But it is, that's an old age thing for me. That's, really, I love the mouse color. I change it by the holidays. I don't get the fancy ones. People get all excited about the fancy mice. Those suck resources and they do weird things to computers. These are easy, right? You can change the size. You can change the color, easy. Highlight the mouse cursor when it's moving. I gotta move that back. So you see what that does? That is such. So this is what Screencastify does when you use Screencastify when you go to click. But if you're creating a video for people about where to click, you can come in, literally just turn this on, like for your kids, come back in and turn it off when you're done with it. Because it really shows your students where to click and how to click. So it's totally a cheat sheet, right? It's totally a little like good for everybody kind of model, I think. I love that one. Open mouse and touchpad settings. So the little caret to the side, it gives us some other options. How fast do I want my touch speed, my touchpad speed? Mine is, pretty high actually. I have mine pretty fast. That means I have to do click, click, not click, click, right? That's always a problem. Most people, when they do a double click, they do click, click. This girl's got click, click, right? So you can also do tap dragging. So you can, which I, not good at. I have other words for that, but I'm just not good at it in any way, shape, or form. It's just right the way it is. Oh, I closed my settings. I closed them all the way. Okay, I'm gonna go back in. I know, and guys, I have like a hard 4 o'clock start. Listen, if I don't get through it, Kristen, just go and I'll come in when I'm done. We have Minecraft this afternoon. Talk about gonna hurt my brain. Okay, touchpad cursor color. Navigation buttons. So if I click here and I turn on my nav buttons, right? This will only work in tablet mode, okay? So only when I turn my device into a tablet is that going to turn on. So I'm not going to do that right now. And basically that gives me my home, back, and switch apps if I'm using this. So again, this is for a student with higher needs than your average student. Let's keep going. I'm going to turn that back off. We're doing Minecraft with Microsoft. Talk about feeling inept. I'm not kidding. Jan, you're shaking your head. Like, I'm like, yeah, no. Good. And we're all, Kristen and I are like the same age. I'm like, girls, I don't get it. That's all I say. I go like, I don't get it. I understand it. But
what are you doing with it?
Learning how to use it, how to teach it. So I can get the teach it. That's easy. And I can do like the easy parts of it, but to like build from scratch, yeah, not so much. I have to reportion my head to be able to do that. Okay, so captions, turning captions on. Now, I'm a huge proponent of captions all the time. I like captions on in my PowerPoints, although there are many times I say some strange things. I said version history in one of my trainings recently, and somebody sent me an email and said, the funniest thing, 4012, you said version history. I knew what you said, but it came out version history, and I replayed it 6 times because it just made me laugh. I was like, I did not say that. She goes, no, but closed caption thought you did. So kind of like the closed caption we see on TV. It's not always perfect. It's not bad. But you can also change it. So you can see, this is nice because you can change the background color. And I don't think most people know that you can change this, right? It doesn't have to be white on black. You can have it to a color functionality that works for you. I also keep it medium, right? You don't need small. You don't need very small, but you might need very large, right? It is stuck right in the middle. So you can change the text font because maybe the font they give you does not work for you. Please don't pick Comic Sans, right? The most hated font in the world. But pick a font that works for you. Pick an opacity, because if you still want to see what's going on. I've taught my husband how to turn this on, and I love closed captioning for YouTube videos. It is like my thing, right? I use it for everything. It just keeps my life so much easier. Okay, so that is one thing I do highly recommend to everyone. Teach your kids how to turn closed captions on YouTube. It's just hit the CC button. Mine is automatic. Okay, play the same audio through all speakers. So I'm not getting speaker, I'm just getting mono audio, which is really good for students with hearing losses, right? So they're not getting like half the sound through half one side and the other. It's terrible for musicians, we hate it, but everybody else it's really good. Even with a hearing loss, it's starting to work a little better for me. Do you want sound on startup? So do you want it to make sound when the machine starts and when things start? So that can be super helpful, right? If you have a visual and audio, you want that. So then there's also additional features. Whew, we made them through them all. Yay. So let me go back to my other device. I'm going to stop presenting from this one. And I'm going to go to my other one. I'm going to go back over here. Yay. Listen, it's it's a show. Awesome. And it says I joined. Did I? Okay. So I'm going to turn this camera off. Turn this one back on, maybe. There we go. Yeah, you can still see me. Awesome. So a couple tips and tricks. Okay. Here's some extensions. This is where the whole DPO thing comes in. So this is where Jan, you start to like twitch a little because I know it's like, oh, right. Yeah, I know. There's a couple things out there that are really good. These are like 5 of the ones I consider. Now, quite honestly, I do extension trainings just for accessibility. So there are a lot more than this. These are some of the ones that are out here. You see many districts purchasing Read and Write for Google Chrome. You can use the free version, right? That is an option. There is a piece called Colorblind for Dalton or Colorblind Dalton for Google Chrome. This came to me because I have a teacher in an iReady school who is colorblind and cannot see red and green. All the reports are red, green, and yellow, and he can't see them. So it's a pretty simple thing to do when you turn it on. We tried it. When you activate it, it gives you this. And the student has to adjust the sliders until they know which kind they are. And we kind of worked our way through them. You choose the row with the least visible letters. So he went right here. And then you slide these until you can see it. And that's your setting. And it overrides all of your Google pieces. Everything was in Chrome. We were like, no way. I gave it to my son. He's like, that really works. That's really good. So I was like, okay, he was my little test pilot. So that's an easy one, and it's free, easy to use. Immersive Reader for Google Chrome is another option, right? It is, you'll notice what it says there, unofficial, right? So you can turn, I may have to find where that is because I don't see it in here. It might be called unofficial, and I don't see it. I might have uninstalled, oh no. Use Immersive Reader on websites. They've changed the name. So that's always kind of good. Use Immersive Reader on websites. You gotta love it when they change that, right? It is an unofficial, but when you turn it on, it works like all Immersive Reader does in Microsoft Office. It opens up another window and it reads across to the students. Have you ever seen that, Jan? Let me show it to you because I do really like how it is a really nice feature. I am, by the way, I have so many extensions that I have an extension manager for my extensions. Just so you know, because I have a habit and it's bad. Use. So it opens up in a new, there it is, right? It opens up in a new reader. So it basically takes the text into a new space and then I can just push it to read.
To get started, just select some text on your website, right-click it, and choose Help Me Read This.
So, which is kind of awesome, right? So I can come out here and I can go right-click, and it will have somewhere in here. It usually has a Help Me. Oh no, this is I'm reading the Google stuff with the Immersive Reader. Immersive Reader actually comes out of Microsoft Office. It is there embedded. If you use Edge, it's embedded into Edge. It's about the only reason to ever use Edge. So if your kids are on laptops and not Chromebooks, it's a great feature just for that feature alone to use Edge because students have that available to them for free. Nice feature, always good for college kids to have. Matter of fact, my son bought his first 2 years of history books all on Kindles so they could be read to him. Kid is smart, let me tell you what. when you're a history student and you have like 15 books per class to read, you learn how to have somebody else read for you. Here's another option. This is just for me is a teacher-friendly one. It's called Tab Resize. It allows me to split my tabs in an easy click, not like pull, move them around, right? This is a favorite of mine. Not everybody likes it. Technicians almost have a fit with it, but what I really like about it is customizable. So somebody can build a 3x3. Now I don't have 3x3. So if I did this, hold on, I'll give you a couple more tabs right there. So we'll pull a couple more in here for you just so you can see what this looks like. Maybe that's 3x3. And now I push that. I made this as a customized one that I use, which is 3x3. Okay, you can stop. I think I just broke the old Googles. Here we go. 3x3, maybe. It'll put 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 tabs by a push. And what I can do, why I like that is because I have the ability then, if I'm using anything like breakout rooms or anything like that with my students, I can automatically get them into those breakout rooms. There we go. There's a 3x3. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 3 tabs, pretty easy. Now, I'm also on a 19-inch screen, so it works a little easier than it would on a little tiny baby screen. But the other option is I just do like it because it is just easy clickable. The last one is print friendly in PDF. This will allow you to go into a website and it allows you to strip out pictures and it allows you to strip out advertisements, which I love, and then you have a PDF. You can then take that PDF and pretty much anything. Cameo will read it to them. Immersive Reader will read it to them. Google Chrome settings will read it to them. You can use a dictation feature within it. So you have lots of options once you have it as a PDF because you have just text. Oh my gosh, Jan, you and me both all the time. So the other thing is make sure you're using closed captions in your slides and in YouTube as well. And then the other option that I always like to teach, because everybody knows I can't really do a training while teaching a little bit about Keep. In Keep on Google and on the phones more than anywhere else. On the phone, not on the app. On the phone, there is, I don't know, camera's picking me up. No, it is this one. On the phone, you can't see it. Down at the bottom, there's a microphone. And it allows me to speech text right into my phone, so then it'll just go right to my device. Stop. Yep. Go back out, and it's going to show up down here just because I have that one pinned. It's going to come right down here. So I love that because it's so simple. You can see it's refreshing. It's going to come over here, and it's going to come right here at some point. These are my Google School Docs. If I unpin that, it will come to the top. And I broke the Googles because it's really going slow right now. So that will come through, and you can see I've done a speech to text. I use it a lot. When I'm tech integrating and I'm walking in the hallway, I literally will be talking into my phone while I'm walking. I think people think I'm talking. I'm not. I'm usually dictating something to myself that I need by the time I get back to my laptop. So just, it makes my life easier. Pretty much everybody's a little easier. All right, that is all the pieces, okay? I gave you a couple Google pieces. This is an excellent article on accessibility by Google. This is keyboard shortcuts, more shortcuts than your little heart could ever possibly know what to do with, because there are pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of them, okay? Not really, there's a lot. So these are just the generic keyboard shortcuts. It's not all of the accessibility shortcuts. So if you need to do something very specific, make sure you click on that, and that'll be a way to just type in this space what you're looking for, and it'll take you to where you need to go. And I really do think that is the best option. This other one here is the Google article on Chrome accessibility. If you are trying to show your district some really good things, or you have a student with certain needs like motor, this is going to show you the best things for them. I was going to recreate it, and I'm like, why? I can just make it, like, that's nice, easy to use, simple. And it's really nice for text when you say, hey, I need to have this open up for the Chrome box, because some technicians think the best thing to do is to literally turn all of that off. Okay, that's not the right idea. I know. I work with these people. I get it. I gave you some other resources, really about, like colors and special needs, using color theory, stuff about classroom colors. If you notice, I'm in a very light green room because it's very calming, right? The lighter colors are better, which is so against what we think of as teachers' nice bright rooms. That's not always the best. This is an excellent article done by Microsoft on making PowerPoint presentations accessible. I had multiple people share this with me. So what I love about it, what to fix, how to find it, why fix it, and how to fix it. Like if you have students with disabilities, this is also why you see most colleges using Microsoft Office, because they're doing this. Okay? So, questions?
Wow.
Yeah, hopefully you got a lot, because there's a lot in there, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot, and you got to play with them and kind of knowing how to get to it is the main thing, and then you play with what you could possibly use. You know, try a couple, use what you need. Okay.
I'm not sure where to start. So
Yeah, that's totally true.
if you had, like, what's your one big, like, try this tomorrow?
So the ones that I like the best are I like the simple ones. The keyboard, the on-screen keyboard would be my go-to. My on-screen keyboard, because it gives you access to your dictation. Like the mouse, try that for a while. That's the one that I find when teachers are working remotely, when I show them that I can change the color of their mouse. Now, quite honestly, I do it on everybody's keyboard. Like I'm like, why do we have white mice? Right? I teach them how to change it, even accessibilities for Microsoft. So I do it on any device because I feel like that's a big one. And I think most people now are going across multiple screens and they're like, where is my mouse? Oh, that's helpful. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. So probably tomorrow you'll get the recording. You'll get the presentation. You don't have to fill out the Google form. You'll be good to go. Okay.
Awesome.
And thank you so much for coming. It's so nice to see you, Jan. Nice to see you, Michelle.
Next Wednesday, are you doing another one?
I am no, I'm off. I'm not off, but I am doing, yes. Next Wednesday, I am doing one. I'm doing one in the morning called 30 and 30.
Oh, yep. So I'll see you next week.
Yes. And that's it. And then I'm off for 2 weeks. Well, not off. I'm just not training for 2 weeks. I gave myself a training break.
Good. Virginia, I have one quick question. Just
Sure.
Where did your daughter go to school?
Well, interesting that you would ask that. She went to Edinburgh for 2 years in Pennsylvania and ran D2. Then she transferred from there to the University of Mary in North Dakota. They were the Division II national runners-up in cross country.
Okay.
And then she did her graduate work at the University of New Hampshire. Oh God, I never remember her degree title. Exercise science of exercise masters. And she works at the University of Vermont as a strength and conditioning coach.
That's great.
Yeah, so she's a D1 female coach. There's only 5 of them. She is one of them. Yep. It's insane, right? My little boy, he went to Potsdam. He's laid back. He went to Potsdam. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Talk to you guys later.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.